Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. Harnessing the value of Nigerians in diaspora. Spectacle presents to you an exclusive with Dr. Chikelu Kingsman, the chairman Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Africa chapter, on the need to harness the enormous prowesses, particularly in the field of technology back home.
Can you give us a brief objective of what NIDO is all about?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that NIDO is the umbrella body of Nigerians and Diaspora Organization, gazetted in 1998 by the then President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, as a body of the government that cater for Nigerians abroad. And we have countries, 172 countries.
172 countries?
Yes, where Nigerians reside. So we made it in a continental coverage. We have NIDO Africa, NIDO Asia, NIDO Oceania, NIDO Americans, and NIDO Europe. So these continents have presidents of countries, like we have NIDO President Zimbabwe, we have NIDO President South Africa, we have NIDO President Namibia, NIDO President Cotonou, NIDO President Singapore, even NIDO President Washington DC, NIDO President California. So in the continents, the presidents of countries come together to elect a continental leader who is called the chairman of the continent. And then when we have the 5 chairmen of different continents, they will now appoint a coordinator of NIDO worldwide. NIDO worldwide. And NIDO worldwide is rotational. So when they appoint you for 6 months, you hand over power to the next continent as a coordinator until it goes round and comes round. So, but for the chairmanship of continents, each continent have their constitutional duration. Europe is doing 2 years. Africa is doing 3 years for now. America is also doing 2 years for a tenure that can only be renewed once. So that is NIDO, Nigerians and Diaspora Organization. But don't forget now that the federal government created a commission known as Nigerians and Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM.
Yes.
So it is the NIDOs that share the affairs or manage the Nigerians and Diaspora affairs. And we work with NIDCOM here as our own commission, headed by the Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, many Nigerians citizens are making their livelihood abroad. So how easy has it been for NIDO in coordinating these Nigerians, especially those who are already making great fields in international relations and diplomacy?
Well, as I said, NIDO as the umbrella body have the professional groups under the leadership of NIDO. The professional groups, we have Nigerian doctors in England, for example, Nigerian doctors in America. We have Nigerian lawyers in America, Nigerian lawyers in Brazil, and as well, we have Nigerian Student Union. We have Nigerian Guild of Engineers. So the professional groups come together under the NIDO of their country. Don't forget, we have also trade union groups, yes, like Nigerian Traders Association, Nigerian manufacturers in China. So those trade union groups join hands together and be the members of the NIDO of their country. So in this professional group, we have a lot of Nigerians doing marvelously well in all areas of life. And that is why the federal government have seen the need of giving the diasporans the opportunity to come in and help in Nigeria. Though unfortunately, we are still looking at the government of Nigeria with one eye. Are they sincere for this call? They are just doing like this.
Okay, what about the remittance issue? If it is it part of the help that you people are
called to lender? Yeah. Yes, sincerely speaking. Last year, I know, before the COVID, we came here on the invitation of the Central Bank and the Senate. We were there, meeting upon meeting, trying to strategize how to push Nigerians abroad to give their strength to the remittance. And we succeeded. The money keep going up. We preached to them. We exposed to them the agencies that can help them when the money comes here. If you want to invest in building, if you want to invest in education, if you want to invest in health, they responded. But the government, I have to say it clearly, we are still not happy. Their own approach to the system is not straightforward.
How they appropriated the money?
Because, take for example, we asked in that negotiation that the body that is canvassing for these individuals, exposing them to the knowledge of what the federal government is doing here, needs a little percentage or encouragement. Because you can't go to war with an empty hand. But nobody is talking about it. The next thing we had, though, is good. If you send $100 today, maybe you have like 300 naira or something thereabouts that the central bank will give you. It's good, it's not bad. But what are the supports given to that organization that you called for, meeting and say, go and canvass and tell people that money should come home, and they went and did it on their own expenses? Okay, to cut the story short, the next thing we had here is that Deputy Speaker is saying that even the diaspora have no mouth to discuss about the security of Nigerians. That means there are no more Nigerians. And we sincerely and insist that that honorable member should say sorry and withdraw that statement.
Tender unreserved
apology, at least, not defense, because he's an honorable member elected by Nigerians, including us in the diaspora. To say such a thing is a slap to democracy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Chikweli. You see many Nigerians at the moment in the international bodies are heading several key positions. Could you say it is the effort of this administration that made these things happen, or their personal effort. For instance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is the DG today of the World Trade Organization. Dr. Sanusi Bakindo is the Secretary General of the OPEC. Professor Sulaiman Bande, the President, United Nations General Assembly. Dr. Amina Mohammed is the Deputy Secretary General, United Nations.
The one designer of Chevrolet too. I don't know whether you forget him.
Dr. Akinwumi Adesina,
Good.
President
of the Bank of Africa.
Bank. Now, this suddenly in this administration, these persons internationally gain international cognizance and recognitions, and is a cloud and field for the Africa and Nigeria in particular. What would you say about that from the angle of your NIDO and in relation to NIDCON?
Well, I can say it's a joint effort. The federal governments have done much and is still doing more, because most of these achievements, as we mentioned now, is through the support of the government that it is achieved. Not forgetting that most of them are hard-working Nigerians. Hard-working Nigerians in the sense that they went abroad. Most of them were not sponsored abroad. They fought for the positions they are occupying today. Either they are working in that ministry over there or in that organization over there, and the federal government did not secure the job for them on the onset. But for the fact that, you know, the spirit of a Nigerian is a fighting spirit. So we keep on fighting, just like you go on our athletic area. You see how we win cups and medals. We have that fighting spirit as Nigerians. So we keep winning. And then, just like a normal thing, whenever there is a success or a need to go further, when you fall back to your father at home and ask him for support, especially when he have known that you are an achiever, you are a fighter, you're a true son, your father will not resist to give you a push. And that's what is happening in most of these cases. You know how we fought for the Bank of Africa, Akinwumi. The federal government stood its ground during the negotiation with other countries, because that's the big job. You need to convince other countries for their vote. The same thing with Dr. Iweala too. You know, His Excellency, Mr. President, he stood in as a father. He sat down and called the president of other countries and said, please, do this for me, and I will do for you in the next turn. So it is, for that reason, I say that the federal government is not also leaving the Nigerians and diaspora alone in terms of pushing them to positions.
So now the relationship between the federal government and Nigerian in diaspora is cordial.
It's cordial. It's cordial. And that's why we are saying that the deputy speaker has to say, withdraw the statement. Yes, okay. Because that statement is boiling. We are receiving reports from countries where Nigerians are like, if that's the case, that means somebody is taking us back again.
It's okay. Now, what would you actually say when you notice that, yes, many Nigerians are leaving the country, you know, to abroad, and they are making it big, and in fact we have best brains like you just mentioned now and we just analyzed, but back home it looks like the country is perhaps in need of them because the country is like in ruin. How would you balance this issue of best brain outside and like no brain at home?
Well, it still boils down to searching for greener pasture. And you see, take for example in the medical field, not only medical field, every other profession, even the journalism. And sometimes, in other countries now, you discover that as a journalist, you have a fund to investigate for news or to investigate for a story you are following. And that fund is there. You assess it and make use of it. But here, you struggle. You struggle. And at the end of the day, you end up being paid by somebody who tell the public the lies. And the public will not get the opinion that is balanced because the government have no fund for you. So it affects every other profession. And that still takes me back. You know, as a doctor, I'm a medical doctor. Abroad, we have more opportunity to work and we have a good return. You understand? We have a good return. But here in Nigeria, take for example the COVID allowance. The COVID caught me here like 7 months in Nigeria. My dear, I keep receiving my COVID allowance. Why here?
Okay.
Every month. And
you were based in where before?
I practice in France.
Okay.
And also in Congo, Kinshasa. Yes, because I got my first job in France and later posted to Kinshasa. Okay. So the COVID allowance was coming. Though it's MONUSCO. Then colleagues here, sometimes their own will be the bank receive the money and should send to you. Sometimes the bank will say they have not received money. You understand? Yes. So the procedure is not helping doctors now to stand their ground and say, we are doing the work the way we should do it. So, and if the person sees the opportunity to go abroad, he will travel. You know, knowing fully well that as a medical practitioner, you are in the front lining of this COVID and other related illness in the hospital and putting your life at risk. You need that risk allowance. And when somebody is joking with it, it's either you think of not being in the hospital, you think of not getting yourself contaminated, and at the same time, think of going elsewhere. So, to me, this brain drain is all about stabilizing the system first. And when I'm saying stabilizing the system first, it's a big job because everybody have a role to play. It's not only government. Even we, the professionals here in Nigeria, are not helping matters. You will see somebody that is meant to administer vaccine on people. But when you go there in the hospital to get the vaccine, the whole chain of vaccination is destabilized. A nurse will tell you the vaccine is finished and she can make it available tomorrow in another location, and she is not the importer of that vaccine.
And that's corruption.
That's corruption. Somebody imported this vaccine, put it in her position to administer to the population, but it was diverted now, and you have to go and get your vaccine in another location of her own interest and pay her money. And this is a free vaccine. So the system is totally corrupt. So that is the thing. But in other countries, you are paid well, and you do the work very well because you are paid for it. And the judiciary is actually working. Once they catch you, they put you in discipline. They discipline you. You understand? To divert a bit, on the call of the government, I have to come into this country and raise hospitals. I mean about 3 of them. Because they say, bring home the resources, let's join hand. I did it. Others did it. For me to register one of the hospitals in Enugu, I was duped. Having a clear payment of the bank and coming to the ministry said they did not receive the amount I paid at the bank. But the bank stamped the money. That means you are running 2 accounts in the Ministry of Health. So it's not one, it's not 2. Every other diasporans will give you his own or her own instance of this corruption.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr.
Kingsman.
Between importing technology and bringing home remittance, like you just said, and you witness all these corrupt acts, which one do you think is better for Nigeria right now, for you guys in the diaspora?
Importing
technology home.
Technology home.
There you have technology, and you have many Nigerians engaged in this technology.
Yes.
And they are even vibrant in the usage. Bringing that technology home, isn't it better than remitting money home?
Well, I like this question because it's like my first time you have taken me to this thinking. It's very interesting. And it's telling me that it's just like giving somebody a fish or teaching the same person how to catch fish.
Yes.
And the popular say says that teach me how to catch fish, they don't give me fish. Because remittance we are talking about, is it not the money we use majority of the times, pay school fees, pay house rent for our elders, or health bill, or feeding sometimes? That is the bulk part of this remittance. But if we have a good economy where the manufacturing industry is flourishing and employment is flourishing, I mean, people will have that money from the energy they supply to those flourishing industries, who will in turn pay them salaries. They may not need much help like beggars, because if you go to the phone booths and where people are soliciting for funds, even to do burial here, they will call one of their uncles and say, please, we cannot even afford to buy the caskets. And that's the remittance we are talking about. Yeah. But if this guy now, others around are well paid, they can raise the money for the casket and do the burial, and so on and so forth in other areas. So I stand to think with you now that let the federal government ask us or give us more incentive to import technology. Let me not cut to last year when we did our Diaspora Day we used to do every June. You know, we have the Nigerians in Asia who came in here with proposal of the biogas, you know, renewable energy. Well, it's like a speech made but not followed, because nobody is ready to follow for it again. So those are the things. A lot of technologies are outside. A lot of Nigerians are into even in cosmetics and pharmaceutical productions. I know a big Nigerian company in Singapore today that Singaporeans are proud of, but it's owned by a Nigerian from Benue State. And there's a lot of them. Even the guy who designed Blazer Chevrolet, Amino or something, it's from the north. So there's a lot of technology that we can bring in here. Yes. You know, even this organic fertilizer. I know of a Nigerian company doing organic fertilizer in Turkey. Okay, imagine. A Nigerian company. So there's a lot of things we can do here. Just like before, we are crying for power to be there, electricity to enable the industries to thrive. The federal government is doing well because we have seen a lot of added energy like in the system.
Like the Siemens issue.
Yeah, so it's doing enough, but let it continue like that. And the other incentives have to follow. There have to be a vigorous campaign. Vigorous campaign, I mean. Most of our embassies are, and that's another funny thing. Do you know that Nigerian will appoint an ambassador who don't even speak the language of the country where he's going? Yes. Take for Portugal, for example. You are sending somebody here to be an ambassador in Lisbon who cannot speak Portuguese language. How many years is he going to take him to understand the system there? And he's just there presenting himself to meetings, and after that they will drink wine, he go back to the government house.
And when you talk about ambassadorial
appointments
with square pegs in round holes, like you just mentioned, in terms of language, how would Nigerian government even know? Do they have the data of who study which or who study this to mount certain positions, ambassadorial?
Since I've started my studies abroad, there is no year, there is no call for data at our missions. And we always supply this data. Then we are Nigerian Student Union and the Diaspora then, before we finish our studies and start working. So they call for this data, and they are not making use of it. It's just like the voting data from INEC today. They call for it. They even, last time we went to a conference, they say, we've gotten the data, we're waiting for the House now to approve for diaspora voting. So all these things is just so slow, so neglected. For example, there are Nigerians, like take for example that Singapore. This guy I'm telling you now have been there for the past 25 years and is still strong enough. If you appoint such a person an ambassador of Nigeria in Singapore, he will lead you to places. He knows their culture. He knows their language. He knows their tricks. He knows how to get things there and channel it home. But you just carry one man here because he's close to the government or because he's close to the party and he sought himself through, you carry him and dump him there. He's a dumped person. For 4 years, for goodness sake. He's dumped there. Yes, and at the end of the day, he will come back here for another person to be sent there.
So how would you advise the Nigerian government to utilize the diasporans' energy and effort in developing Nigerian economy?
First of all, there have to be spirit of a sincere meritocracy. Okay? Take for example, this thing I'm saying now as a chairman of continents, should, and I'm just saying it to, take for example, if Nigerian government did like Senegal. Senegal attributed 16 seats, 12 to 16 seats if I'm not mistaken, to the diasporans to come to the law-making house. I mean, sit with the lawmakers in their seats, defend the affairs of the diaspora. That is where they are going to advise government better and speak properly as diasporans, because we have different mentality. So you can't just sit down here and be commanding somebody outside here. It will not work, my brother. It will not work. Just like we are here now, you cannot give directive in your village and get it 100%. You better use the villagers to do their village things. You do your township thing. And when people want to come together, you sit together and agree on how to go in it. You don't impose anything on anybody. So what I'm saying in essence is this. We need a seat in the House of Reps. We need votes, voting rights, for example. Because if any president of this country have to go to campaign in the diaspora, he will use that opportunity to know what is happening there. Even if he's going to stay 2 days there. Town hall meetings with the entities, organization, and group of Nigerians will give him an eye-opener. Like if you're in France, he will know, wow, there is this here. You go to America, oh, there is this here. But none of them campaign abroad. But you are a sitting president. So how do you know what is going on there? It's only when you go on medical mission or one of the conferences or symposiums that you focus on the symposium. Is that when you'll be talking of Nigerian affairs again? No. So we need to have our seats in the House of Reps. Even 4 in the Senate, 12 in the House of Reps. I'm laughing because I know it's impossible. They have done those seats like this. They hold it like this. But my brother,
why is it?
One by one day it will work.
It's not impossible.
Yes, one day to work. Senegal did it.
Synergize with Abike, I don't think it's impossible.
Yes.
And you people propose the bill.
Yes.
It's not going to be like executive legislative bill now. It's coming from the public. It's
just 12 seats.
So you present.
We'll come there, and it's from there. For example, if you ask me what is happening in Congo now, first of all, the 4 ethnic language in Congo: Chiruba, I speak; Swahili, I speak; Lingala, I speak; French, I speak. If you make me ambassador there, for example, I'm not taking seat of anybody, but for example, there is no nick and cranny of that country I will not take you to, and there's no business you cannot do there and succeed.
Or even France.
Or even France, where I know all the province. There's no business you can do or I can negotiate for you in France with the language and even the proverb that he needs to say before a Frenchman will believe you. But an ambassador will stay 4 years in that country without knowing any of this. How can he explore it?
It's okay, so we just need to appoint people who actually know the terrain to represent us there as ambassadors.
And then again, there are some returnees too, who are useful. You understand? There are returnees in Nigeria here. We have returnees from UK here. So such people should be approached. How do we do things like this? Because if even a returnee is in that house, that who knows the importance of his antecedent as a diasporan, a sitting speaker cannot make such a comment. He will call him and say, Oga, you get it wrong. Because we have this country at heart, just like every other person, or even more. Because anywhere we are crying home. Just like soldiers in the war front, you are crying home. And somebody in the home will tell you one day, you are not part of us. You have no say here. In your own father patrimonial rights, somebody want to deny it. No, it will not work.
The Diaspora plan or NIDO under your watch, what are your plans to improving the Nigerian economy? Just like you advised that the diasporans, this is the way they can improve. So what are your own plans under your own chapter?
Okay, for example, in Africa here, we have initiated Use Nigeria initiative. It's for the diaspora exporters. In the continent of Africa, we have a lot of Nigerians in Sierra Leone, Nigerians in Liberia, Nigerians in South Africa, and Togo, you understand? Ghana. So Ghana, we are trying to use that initiative of Use Nigerian policy to encourage for our products, local products to move to the African continent. Take for example, in Congo, Kinshasa, for example, the team of exporters from Congo last Friday loaded about 5 containers of made in Nigeria shoes from Aba, and brake pad from Nnewi, and oil filters. These are made in Nigeria. And we will be expanding. Today, this morning, we had a meeting on cassava flour. You could not believe that in Congo, this is the #1 food. The way we eat gari here. Yeah. Their own is flour. And we are now talking on modalities of sending it there. We are not even eating this flour here because we are more interested in gari and yam flour. You know, I have a colleague professor who will always tell me that if I don't send him flour, he will not eat. I mean the young one. Okay. He's not eating. So because it's so white, so good, it's so new for them, they don't plant any of these things. So when they see it, they like it. So the NIDO Africa is canvassing, just like we did for our movie. If you go to any African continent, I championed the promotion of this, our movie, as a cultural promotion. That today, if you speak to an Ivorian and say anything, we call you Karashika. It's one of the movies in those days. Yeah. We made it so popular in this continent. It's dominated their media everywhere. The same thing we are doing on this export of our local products. And these are what NIDO is planning to do. And the way we are going on it is going to generate more fund too. There's one beer company, I will not mention his name. We have reached agreement with him to promote him in Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone and Liberia is very close. He's going to take the 2 countries. I have started exporting already. And it's a local made beer here. And so on and so forth.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Chikelu Kingsman Obina, for giving us your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.